So we're now going to look at a provision of evidence alluded to earlier. This is kind of the classic example from the federal rules of evidence of the law's exclusion of something that would actually very much help us resolve the facts at issue, but that we're not going to allow to come in because we don't want people to change their behavior in a bad way. So we've seen something like this with the exclusion of unlawfully obtained evidence in criminal procedure. We don't want police to go around unlawfully seizing evidence, and so we don't allow them to use it when they do so, even though the evidence is perfectly legitimate. So the officer finds crack cocaine in the trunk of a car, and because he searched the car without adequate suspicion, we don't get to prosecute, maybe a fairly serious drug dealer. So, in a similar way, the federal rules of evidence disallow the use of certain very reliable evidence because we don't want to negatively affect the way that parties go about doing good in the world. Whereas the Fourth Amendment's about preventing bad, there are certain federal rules of evidence that try to encourage actual good behavior. And I suppose the police, we want to encourage good, proper police work. So in a way, it's the same. We're doing the same thing. We're discouraging bad behavior and encouraging good behavior. So the classic example of this is subsequent remedial measures. And the idea is that, let's take our ice cream parlor from the example I offered in the video for the Simon case, the ice cream parlor example, where someone trips in front of the ice cream store on the sidewalk. We want the ice cream parlor to repair the sidewalk. But the fact that they repaired the sidewalk is going to be some evidence that there was something wrong with it to begin with. We don't want more people tripping on the sidewalk. And we would also like to have, in the abstract, both answers. We would like to have the sidewalk repaired, and we would like to have the person who tripped on it compensated for their injury. And as the law often is, you can't have it both ways. With the exclusionary rule, the theory goes you can't have both the admission of unlawfully obtained evidence and good police work with regard to search and seizure. Here we're admitting we're willing to sacrifice some evidence that would help us get the right answer, that would let us find liability against the ice cream parlor for not repairing its sidewalk, in order to encourage the sidewalk to be repaired, in order not to create an incentive for the sidewalk not to be repaired. So let's look at the rule itself, and I'll pull up the rule. And this, of course, is in our version of chart, of course, that has the rule. And this is, if you open the rule and you ask it to print, this is the version you get of it. Sometimes it's a little easier to read it this way. I'm going to first show you the federal version of it, and then I'm going to show you California's version, which is worded different, but it says basically the same thing. And the reason I'm showing you California's version is because we're going to read a California case, and they obviously use their rules of evidence. With the federal rule, however, the notion of subsequent remedial measures reads this way. When measures are taken that would have made an earlier injury or harm less likely to occur, evidence of that subsequent remedial measure, the repairing of the sidewalk, is not admissible to prove negligence, culpable conduct, a defect in the product or its design, or a need for a warning instruction. But, and this is a really, really important thing, you can bring the evidence in for another purpose, such as impeachment, and we'll get to impeachment later. Don't worry too much about it right now. Or other disputed matters such as ownership or control. So like if the ice cream parlor said, for instance, look, the city controls the sidewalk, not us. We're not responsible for the poor condition of the sidewalk. And the next day we see the ice cream parlor owner out there repairing the sidewalk. That would prove that he had, if not ownership, at least the ability to repair it, control. Also, if the defense is that the precautions just weren't feasible. look, it would cost us $500,000 to repair the sidewalk. That's just too expensive. And then after the accident, they do repair the sidewalk. Then that shows that the defense of this being just impractical isn't actually true. So that's the federal rule. Again, designed to make sure that we don't create disincentives for folks to repair things after accidents have occurred, because we just don't want new accidents. So California Evidence Code Section 1151, same idea, just give you the wording of it since we're about to read a California case that invokes it. When after the occurrence of an event, remedial or precautionary measures are taken, which if taken previously would have tended to make the event less likely to occur, evidence of that subsequent remedial measure is inadmissible to prove negligence or culpable conduct in connection with the event. So that's the rule, and we're now going to get into some cases that lay that out, show you how it operates. The first one will give you the basic notion of the idea, and then we'll get into a couple of exceptions.